In today's episode of our photography review show, I'm gonna review macro, mix, and landscape photographers. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our photography review show. I hope you had a great week, and I hope you're ready for more photography reviews. For those who never been here before, my name is Jakub, and I'm a professional photographer based in West Sussex, England. For the past 7 or 8 months, I've been reviewing your photos, and I reviewed thousands of images from hundreds of photographers. It's a lot of fun, and if you want to join us, you should definitely do that by joining our membership, Clever Photographer Plus. For a little fee, you will get a bundle of overlays, textures, presets, LUTs, and everything you can imagine for photography every month, as well as access to this photography review show and our Clever Photographer Academy. To find out more about it, make sure you head to our website, cleverphotographer.com. So as you can see, we are back in a Lightroom CC where we are reviewing the technical part of the image, the composition, and also giving you some tips on the photo editing. We're starting with the landscape photographers, and first one is a Patric. Patric, we have 2 images from you, and looking at them, they look like they're both from Mont Saint-Michel in north of France. So looking at them, we have this black and white with lots of drama, a very minimalistic shot, so excellent there. And looking at this one, we have this beautiful capture over the bridge with a great reflection and lovely warm long exposure. So starting with this here, let's have a look at the camera details. We'll be moving into the information, and here we're looking at the camera, which was Sony 7 Mark IV with the lens 16 to 35 millimeters. And from the camera settings, we are on ISO 100, 16 millimeters f8, 1/750th of a second. So very well done here, camera settings spot on. Now looking at the size of the image and the resolution, unfortunately it's really small. So when I try to zoom in, it's just super pixelated. So just from what I see, a lovely image with lots of details, lots of contrast, great light and great drama in the sky, and altogether technically very well done. Which brings us to this one. Again, here looking at the same lens, same camera, but with the settings ISO 100, 35 millimeters f8 and 8 seconds. So lovely stretchy clouds from the long exposure, great light on the Mont Saint-Michel structure, beautiful reflection, beautiful light, beautiful level of details, altogether technically excellent capture. Well done, Patric. Talking about composition, I really enjoyed the fact how the main subject is offset. Also the focal point being the Mont Saint-Michel works very well here with a great leading line and flow created by these rails and by the bridge itself. The level of details and texture in the sky is beautiful with a great warmth and colder tones on the top, as well as the reflection and the trail helping us with the depth. So altogether, as a composition goes, excellent. On this one, I really enjoyed the minimalistic feel of it. I really like how everything is in the shades of gray compared to the really dark and contrasty structure, which works really well, and it would be something which would look great printed and framed. So Patric, again, excellent capture. Moving on, talking about post-processing. So I can't really say that I would change much here. The only thing I noticed earlier when I was looking at the image is your little sensor dust here, so something to kind of keep an eye on and use the healing brush to remove it. On this one, nothing. They are both lovely images with lots of lovely thoughts behind, technically well executed. The only thing I wish for next time is that you send me a little bigger files so I can give you a little bit more feedback. Altogether, Patric, thank you so much for sharing the images with us. And if you have more, make sure you send them over for next week. Which brings us to next photographer, Zorin. Zorin, we have 3 images from you. This lovely, almost HDR feel of image with a lot happening here. Then we have this, let's just reset it because I was looking at it earlier. Let's have a look at this one. It's like an infrared capture with this beautiful sky and great colors. And then this very natural sunset behind the tree. Let's start with this one and talk about the camera settings. We are on Nikon Z9, Nikkor 24-70, and from the camera settings, ISO 64, 24mm f8, 1/8 of a second. So again, a lovely capture. The camera setting is spot on, avoiding any additional noise with a lovely wide lens. Now I wish the lens was a little wider to get the top of the gate, but other than that I like it a lot. f8 giving us the details all the way through, which is really cool, and 1/8 of a second giving us this great exposure with lovely colors and great details in the sky. So technically, very well done. On this one, technically, I don't know if you created the infrared in the camera or in post-processing. However, I think it works very, very well. We were here on Nikon Z6, Nikkor 14-35 and ISO 100 30mm f8 1/60th of a second. So spot on when it comes to camera setting, it's looking great. And again, technically, it's very well done. Level of detail is great. Beautiful texture in the sky, just lovely, lovely capture. And to finish it off on this one, back to Nikon Z9, Nikkor 24-70 and ISO 64 45mm f8 1/40th of a second. So excellent job, Zorin, on technical part. I think it's very well done. I love this kind of shadow silhouette look of the tree, which works very well. Again, great amount of details and altogether lovely images. On the post-processing on this one, nothing much I would change here. The only thing I would have a look is this banding, seeing this kind of mixture of different colors. It happens to me quite often when I'm taking picture of something that has this really strong and low source of light. So you get this in the sky, especially when there is no texture in the sky. So something to keep an eye on. Other than that, the composition is lovely. Your main focal point, creating the silhouette. Great picture. Now on this one, the leading line with this truck works very well. Again, foreground, middle ground, background, again works very well. Altogether, lovely, lovely image. All I would do is I would just crop it to something like 16:9. I think the 1/3 of a sky is enough and it gives you a little bit more impact. And to finish it off on this one, when it comes to composition, the frame in frame works super well. Again, just my thing would be to see if I could get a little bit more of the gate. Other than that, it's very storytelling, beautiful fairy tale-like capture with the full church in the frame. Excellent and lovely capture. For the post-processing, nothing much I would add here. I think it's very well done. Maybe just lower the saturation a little bit, but other than that, it's beautiful. On this one, we would do the cropping, and as it is kind of different effect, I can't really say much to it. It's great and it's very artistic. And similarly on this one, it's very natural. All I would do is to kind of keep an eye on this effect on the sky to see how I could maybe remove it or help to it. Zorin, thank you very much, my friend. Thank you for sending the pictures over. It's lovely to see it. And it's also lovely to see how same photographers can really play around with 3 completely different styles and create something beautiful. And here we are with another photography style. And this time we're looking at macro photography with Evgeniy. Evgeniy, 2 images from you, so let's have a look at them. Let's click on I and let's have a look at the camera details. So looking at it, we have a Pentax K100 with an ISO 200, 50mm and 1/250th of a second. Now looking at it is a lovely capture. I really, really like this with the level of the detail of the insect sitting on this beautiful flower. Lovely background, and I think technically this is very well done. I love the softness, the blur, the sharpness on this part. The light is a little bit harsh, but there are no heavy shadows, so I think it's looking great. Now looking at this image, we are looking at the same camera and same lens with the ISO 200 75mm f11 1/500th of a second. Now I love this image. I love the light, kind of backlighting the flowers from here. I love this perspective as well. I think it works very, very well. The sharpness on the main flower works great as well. Beautiful and excellent amount of details with a great camera setting. So Evgeniy, well done on this one as well. When it comes to composition, all I would do is I would probably just zoom a little bit further and kind of get this flower on our main thirds here. It doesn't really matter here that we're cropping it as we cropped it earlier anyway. So just maybe touch bigger, something like this, and then just hit enter. And that's about it. Other than that, yes, great color contrast with the background, beautiful light, great kind of luminance contrast here as well. Lovely mix of colors, sharpness great, depth of field great. So altogether, excellent. Talking about this one and composition, I love the center composition. I think it's working great. The insect in full details work well as well. The green background on the pink and white works well as well. So altogether, composition-wise, it's also excellent image. When it comes to post-processing, to be honest, I don't really have anything to add to it, Evgeniy, today. I think this is a great image, very clean, very well done, and well executed. So excellent. On this one, equally great amount of colors, great white balance, altogether just very well done, and I love the images. So Evgeniy, great job. You should be very proud of these images. Thank you very much for sharing them with us. You take care, stay safe, and send us more images in the future. Which brings us to Darryl. Darryl, I have 2 images from you. This saxophone, and it may be not saxophone, trumpet player, and the turtles on the rocks. So let's click on the first one. Let's click on I, and let's have a look at it. Sadly, on both of the images, we don't have camera details, which I think is a little bit of a shame because I could help you a little further. However, just looking at it from this point of view, I mean, the sharpness is nice. There is maybe a little bit of noise. However, there's lots of texture, and this picture is very much about composition than the artistic capture. Now, on this one, I can't really say, because when I zoom in, it gets really pixelated. I can't say to which degree the turtles are in focus, but the light seems to be quite all right. It's a bit diffused. So altogether, technically, it's quite well done. It's when it comes to composition, when I'm struggling with it a little bit, as the picture is extremely busy. There is a lot happening, reflection, colors, high frequency elements, lots of these turtles. So obviously, when a human look at it, it will suffer and find very difficult to find what is it you're trying to show. First, the human eye is attracted by the brightest and whitest part of the image, and there is just lots of it happening. So that would be my point for this one. After that, we're gonna look at this image where I think the composition is great. I like the fact that you kept a little bit of the guy there, then that we have the full shape of the shadow with being able to very clearly see and say what it is. And I think it just works very well. I think it's very smart work. What I would do with this as a photo editing, I would probably change it to black and white. And then I would jump into something like maybe a curve, and actually bring the shadow down to make the shadow a little bit stronger and really show what is it you're trying to showcase. After, on this one, not much we can do. I would maybe crop it a little bit more to bring more attention on the turtles. If anything, we could even make it like 16:9 and create really something like this to take as much attention away as possible. And then make it maybe just a touch brighter. Use the radial gradient to add more focus on the turtles. So to create like a vignette, but a different point of the picture, we can invert it and then bring the exposure down and add more focus on them. Anyway, Darryl, thank you very much for sharing both images. They were cute and lovely. It's my pleasure to review them for you. And if you have more, make sure you send them to us soon. Which then brings us to last 2 photographers. We have Ken. Ken, it's great to see you back again. Thank you very much for sharing your images with us. Let's have a look what we have here. Now, looking at this image, as much as I love the capture of the eagle, Ken, I'm afraid that I can't help you much with it. It really is very visible that the camera has focused on these little branches and kept the bird at the back out of focus. And to be honest, if I would bring a picture like this home as a part of my hundreds of images, I wouldn't even process this one because it's just not there. It's technically really not great. And you would really wish that the camera would have focus on the bird. So I'm sorry I can't help you much more with it, but maybe if you have more eagle pictures, you can send them over. Which brings us to this image. Now, when it comes to this image, and when we look at the camera settings, there's one interesting thing, and that is the shutter speed, 1/2000 of a second. So it was Nikon Coolpix P1000, ISO 200, 102 millimeters, and f5. However, 1/2000 of a second gives you this frozen effect. And really, when it comes to capturing water like this, the moving water, there are 2 ways to do it. Long exposure, where you can do 1, 2, 5, 60 seconds, and create that very smooth and appealing effect, which looks a little bit unnatural. Or the other way around to do it is to completely freeze it, which is like this, and I think it's looking brilliant. I really like it, and generally it only works if you have the rest of the elements, like these rocks, really sharp, creating this lovely contrast of movement and sharpness. So I think it works very well. All I would do here, I would go into the details, I would increase the contrast, and I would do that. For the composition itself, I would probably maybe crop it just a little bit more. So we can unlock this. and just kind of try to really focus on the waterfalls. So something like this. And there you have it. Now we can add in effects a little bit more vignette, and we get something like this, which really creates very surreal but very artistic image cam. So I love it a lot. Thank you very much. Great capture. I'm happy to see that you're trying something different. Thank you for sharing it with us. And again, if you have more images of the eagles, make sure you send them over. Which brings us to the last photographer, and that's Zdenek. Zdenek, 2 images. And I have to say, I love this one. However, I even more love this one. I'm a huge fan of Lion King, the movie. I love this animal, the warhogs, looking great. The level of details is brilliant. The position of the animal is great. And I was really happy to see it. But first come first, let's start with the landscape. Looking at it and talking about camera settings, we are on Canon 600D with the ISO 200, or 100, sorry, 32mm, f10, 1/160th of a second. As the camera setting goes, spot on, nice and low ISO, 32mm giving us this kind of not completely wide, but really little bit zoom in look, f10 giving us details all the way through, and then 160 second giving us this lovely fog and lots of details in it. Altogether, excellent image. So technically, I think it's very well done. Sharpness is great. Light is as you would expect it from the scene, and I think it works great. Now on this one, ISO 400, 163mm, f10, 1/500th of a second. So with the 163mm, even with f10, you get this lovely soft blur at the back, which I think works great. And then of course, with the higher ISO, you are then able to shoot it with 1/500th of a second, which gives us all this lovely level of detail, great movement, and beautiful colors and contrast. So as the camera setting goes, Zdenek is brilliant. I love this image, and I think it's great work. Now, talking about composition, you know already probably what I would say. I wish there was a little bit more space here, just to have some active space in front of the animal. I think that would really help here. You could try maybe even in a Photoshop, just do some kind of content aware cropping, and that generally does quite a good job. Now on this one, when I look at it, I love the scene. However, I think because of the tree, it's a little bit unbalanced, and I would have wished we have a little bit more of the foreground here. That would be my addition to it. So what could we do with this? We could do a little bit of cropping and just kind of crop this tree away. And then we could crop it in such a way from the side that we have this kind of valley on this third of our thirds of the composition. Then we can just hit enter and get something like this, which I think create lovely, much more balanced view. After that, when it comes to post-processing, what I would do, I would add some contrast to bring some of the colors back. Double check the white balance. Where are we? Color. White balance. Maybe not more warmth, but maybe a little bit of pink just to remove some of the green tint. Maybe a bit of vibrance, and definitely little vignette. There you go. And on this one, not much differently I would do here. I think the color is great, the white balance is great. All we could do is quick little bit of touch and burn, minus exposure, and just highlight some of the shadows. There we are, something like this. And then equally create one more and add some exposure and create something like this. Anyways, Zdenek, I love this image. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. It's brilliant, great capture, as well as the landscape. It's always great to see your pictures. You stay safe, take care, and send us more pictures in the future. And the same goes for all of you folks. If you want to join us, all you need to do is to join our membership, Clever Photographer Plus, and then you can access the Clever Photographer Academy, photography review show, as well as get the full bundle of photography tools every month. For today, thank you very much for watching. My name was Jakub, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.